Welcome to today's Explainer. Listen, today I'm stepping in as your personal executive life coach. We are going to take the incredibly profound science of human behavior change and literally transform it into a highly actionable daily playbook just for you. Seriously, if you've ever felt like your goals are just constantly slipping through your fingers, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to extract the absolute best everyday lessons from James Clear's groundbreaking book, Atomic Habits. But you know what makes this playbook so incredibly powerful? It's that these strategies weren't just cooked up in some sterile academic theory or a pristine laboratory experiment. No, they were forged in the fires of absolute necessity. Get this, as a high school sophomore, James Clear was struck directly in the face by a flying baseball bat, literally between the eyes. He went from suffering brain swelling and losing consciousness in the first 10 minutes to being placed in a medically induced coma by hour 24. When he finally woke up, he had to rebuild his entire life from scratch, starting with the most basic, foundational human functions. And he did this one tiny, incremental routine at a time. It really proves that monumental recovery and monumental success actually come from microscopic, everyday choices. All right, so here is the syllabus for our coaching session today. We're going to cover 4 things. 1, the power of intentions. 2, the habit stacking strategy. 3, bundle your temptations. And 4, the law of least effort.
Okay, let's just dive straight into lesson 1, the power of intentions.
The core concept here is what we call an implementation intention. Now, the sad truth is that simply hoping you'll do something or, relying on a momentary burst of motivation, it just isn't enough. You absolutely must explicitly define exactly when and where your new behavior is going to take place. You have to create an undeniable, glaring cue for your brain.
To put this into daily practice, I want you to stop, and I mean really stop setting vague goals like, oh, I'll exercise more. That just leaves way too much room for excuses, right? Instead, you need to start engineering specific routines. Say it like this: I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Remember, ambiguity is the enemy of habit. As your coach, I'm giving you your very first specific if-then trigger statement for your playbook. If you want to build a habit, then you must forcefully dictate the terms of your own success using this exact formula. I will do this specific behavior at this specific time in this exact location. Write it down, lock it in. James Clear puts this perfectly. He says, the first law of behavior change is make it obvious. Because think about it, if your cue to act isn't blatantly obvious, literally staring you right in the face, your brain is naturally going to try to conserve energy. And what happens? You fall right back into your old, comfortable patterns. You have to make it impossible to ignore. Moving on to lesson 2, the habit stacking strategy. So let's take that idea of obvious cues we just talked about and absolutely turbocharge it. This is called habit stacking, a brilliant method originally created by B.J. Fogg. The idea here is to take a behavior you already perform automatically without fail, like, say, brushing your teeth or making your morning coffee, and use it as the definitive launchpad for an entirely new habit. Think about how this applies to your daily routine. Your current, reliable habits are actually the strongest foundations you have. So, pouring your morning coffee, that becomes the exact cue to meditate for just 1 minute. Taking off your work shoes at the end of the day, that is your immediate trigger to put on your workout clothes. Or sitting down to dinner triggers expressing gratitude. You're just piggybacking on what already works. Which brings us to your second if-then trigger for the playbook. If you complete a daily action, then you will chain a new behavior to it using this simple formula: after my current habit, I will do my new habit. It's all about seamlessly linking behaviors so that one naturally flows right into the next, almost like dominoes falling. Just remember this quote: habits are like the atoms of our lives. Each one is a fundamental unit. While these stacked habits might seem incredibly tiny, almost insignificant on their own, their compounded growth over time is what unlocks truly incredible power. You aren't just making a small change. You are building a massive system of success, one tiny atomic linkage at a time. All right, lesson 3, bundle your temptations. Now we are tackling what is arguably the hardest part of executive coaching, conquering procrastination. We achieve this through a concept called temptation bundling. This is all about literally manufacturing motivation. You do this by making the completion of a difficult, necessary task the strict prerequisite for enjoying a guilty pleasure.
For your daily application here, you're going to literally hold your desired rewards hostage until the necessary work is done. Seriously, you only get to check ESPN for sports updates after you call 3 potential clients. You only get to scroll through Facebook after you do 10 burpees. You are deliberately tying the want directly to the need.
To really deploy this, here is an advanced 2-part if-then trigger. First, you stack the difficult habit onto a current one. So, after I pull out my phone, I will do 10 burpees. Then you immediately reward it with a temptation. After I do 10 burpees, I will check Facebook. See how that works? It's a 1-2 punch.
It all boils down to this fantastic realization. Doing the thing you need to do means you get to do the thing you want to do. It turns human nature completely to your advantage by utilizing your deepest cravings and dopamine hits to drive your hardest, most productive work. It's basically a life hack for your brain.
Finally, Lesson 4, the law of least effort.
This one focuses on the physical reality of the environments we live and work in, and it explains exactly why relying on willpower alone is a losing game. It's actually rooted in physics, the principle of least action. Because humans are naturally, biologically wired to conserve energy, you must ruthlessly design your environment to make good habits effortless and bad habits incredibly difficult. The path of least resistance is always going to win out in the long run. So how do we apply this daily? Well, instead of jumping blindly into a massive goal like, I'm going to become a 6 a.m. early riser tomorrow, you must shape the habit through tiny, easily achievable phases. Phase 1 might just be being home by 10 p.m. That's it. Phase 2 is getting all devices turned off by 10 p.m. You are slowly removing friction so that eventually waking up at 6 a.m. is the natural next step that requires the least amount of effort possible. Here is your final if-then trigger for today. If you face overwhelming resistance to a task, then you will immediately reduce it down to the action requiring the absolute least amount of energy. Listen, don't try to read a whole book. Just open the book. Lower the hurdle, remove the friction, and just get yourself in motion. Keep this vital mindset shift right at the forefront of your brain. Focus on taking action, not being in motion. Endless planning, endless researching, and strategizing, honestly, a lot of the time that is just procrastination in disguise. Practice is the most effective form of learning. Take the path of least resistance and just start doing the thing. I'm going to leave you with this final challenge as your coach. Remember this truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So take a hard look at the systems in your life right now. Based on everything we've just covered, what is the very first atomic habit you are going to forge the very moment this explainer ends? Get out there, stop hoping, and start building your system.